I didn't. The right is playing fast and loose with facts and scapegoating everyone under the sun, especially black and brown people. As a white man, I do not agree with this, and I am on my black and brown brothers and sisters' side. Fight the good fight. Know that I am part of the resistance. Let's fight the power.
Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Blue moon, you saw me standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Blue moon, you knew just what I was there for. You heard me saying a prayer for someone I really could care for. And then there suddenly appeared before me the only one my arms will ever hold. I heard somebody whisper, please adore me. And when I looked, the moon had turned to gold. Blue moon, now I'm no longer alone.
So you ask why I'm playing Billie Holiday. No reason. I just want to. I just want to hear some Billie Holiday. We just had a great hour talking to two amazing music legends, Terrence Blanchard and Aaron Neville, and just talking about all that jazz with Terrence. Just got me in the mood to hear some. Let it ride in. Let that ride for a second. Got me in the mood to hear some Billie Holiday. I mentioned in last hour, speaking of great jazz artists, Sonny Rollins, the Colossus. Will be a guest on this program next week, along with Spike Lee and Dee Dee Bridgewater. A lot of great guests coming up in the week ahead. That's not even to mention all the great guests on tomorrow. But we will talk to Sonny Rollins next week, among others. But just a good excuse to play some more jazz as we start this final hour of today's program. Blue Moon, Billie Holiday. In this hour, as promised, two conversations on the B side of this hour. A conversation with Bitter Kalli, writer, land worker, and founder of the Star Apple Farm and Nursery, on the new book Mounted, on horses, blackness, and liberation, joining the growing black creative movement, currently refashioning horses and cowboy imagery. It's not just Beyonce, as I said earlier. This new book is a thoughtful, probing exploration of the shared history of blackness and horses, which reveals what its image can teach us about nationhood, race, and culture. We'll talk about this new book called Mounted, on horses, blackness, and liberation on the backside of this hour. We commenced this hour, though, in conversation with our friend and brother Dayvon Love, Director of Public Policy for the Baltimore-based think tank, Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle, on the escalating war of words, that is, between President Donald Trump and Maryland Governor Wes Moore, and how federalizing police impacts black youth in Baltimore and beyond. It ain't just Baltimore. Donald Trump has made it very clear that his next stop is going to be Chicago. So one city at a time, at least cities that have African-American mayors, Donald Trump is going in. I mentioned earlier on the show when the news broke about this shooting in Minneapolis, where at the moment we are told 3 are dead, 17 injured. Minneapolis does not have a black mayor. We're going to see if Donald Trump sends the National Guard into Minneapolis. We shall see. But Chicago is next up for Donald Trump. And we will take him at his word. I also mentioned that there was a piece that Dayvon Love wrote recently that I'm going to get to in this particular hour about the inability of Democrats in this moment to deal with white nationalism. The Democratic Party just ain't ready for that. Dayvon Love argues, so we'll talk about that as well in this half hour. Dayvon, good to have you back on the program, sir. How are you?
I'm good, Tavis. Thanks for having me on.
It's good to have you on. Let me just start. I want to cover 3 or 4 things in this half hour, as I mentioned just a moment ago. Let me start with the first thing on my list. This escalating war of words between Donald Trump and Maryland Governor Wes Moore. Wes Moore, of course, at the moment, the only African-American governor in the country. But talk to me about this back and forth, this tete-a-tete between Trump and Moore.
Well, I think it's a contrast. I think the Trump administration wants to represent, D.C., Baltimore, and other major cities with black mayors as having a rampant crime problem. And that is a political strategy that Republicans, the right wing, are using because they're clear that rhetoric, the very notion of Black people being inherently criminal is something that's a part of the collective American consciousness. And there are political benefits that one gains from trafficking in that. And so I think Trump's policy is trafficking in that. And, given that, Wes Moore is the governor of a major city that has kind of a national, there's been a punching bag nationally, in many respects, there are ways that Trump's base is being given red meat by his, criticism of Baltimore and of Governor Moore. So it's part and parcel of the political strategy, I think, undergirds the kind of white nationalist agenda of the Republican Party and of Trump.
Yeah. I'm not the first or the only person to say this. Everybody can see it. You can see it clearly for yourself. But what's your read, Dayvon, on the way that Donald Trump and the national media has not picked up on this yet? And it annoys me to no end. I've talked about it ad nauseum, ad infinitum on this program, and I still have not seen the national media pick up on this storyline, which is that Donald Trump is picking on Black leaders, be they mayors of cities or, again, Wes Moore as governor of Maryland. He is picking on Black leaders as if he is picking a fight. I was reading a piece. Let me just quote from it right quick. There's a piece I was reading. Where is this piece at? The New Republic. Fascinating piece. I always share with my audience what I'm reading and encourage them to read if they want to know more, because I don't have time to obviously read the entire article. Here's a piece in the New Republic that I want to bring to everybody's attention and invite you to read it. It's called Trump's Next Hellhole, Chicago. Democrats get ready for a fight. Trump's next hellhole, Chicago. Democrats get ready for a fight. It's a piece in the New Republic. Let me quote from this piece, and when we come forward, I'll let Dayvon Love respond to it. But just one paragraph in this piece that I want to share with you. But it's worse than his fudging of numbers. Talking, of course, about Donald Trump. But it's worse than his fudging of numbers. Because at the heart of Trump's lies is his unswerving and poisonous racism. He's not really trying to solve crime in the District of Columbia or anywhere else. He's trying to scare white people, to divide the country, to make people in suburban, exurban, and rural America believe that the places where lots of non-white people live are war zones. Read that one more again. But it's worse than his fudging of numbers. Because at the heart of Trump's lies is his unswerving and poisonous racism. He's not really trying to solve crime in the District of Columbia or anywhere else. Baltimore, Chicago, that's me editorializing there. He's trying to scare white people, to divide the country, to make people in suburban, exurban, and rural America believe that the places where lots of non-white people live are war zones. We'll pick up on that notion when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code GOLD for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code GOLD for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code GOLD for 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
Freedom is an endless meeting, so let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Dayvon Love, who I'm honored to have on this program. We're talking about a number of things. We've started talking about this escalating war words between Donald Trump and Wes Moore. I mentioned a moment ago that Donald Trump was just picking on black leaders, be they mayors of black cities or the black governor of Maryland, Wes Moore. He is targeting African-American electeds, and the national news media still has not picked up on that notion and drilled down on it in the way that they should. But you can count on us to address it for all the obvious reasons. So let me just give you a quick backstory on this Donald Trump-Wes Moore thing. So it went into overdrive on Sunday. Today's Wednesday. It went into overdrive on Sunday when Trump threatened to send federal troops to Baltimore and hinted that he might try to take back funding to replace the Francis Scott Key Bridge. You recall the bridge that was hit by that boat, that ship, I should say, some time ago. So Trump's threatening to take back money for the bridge and threatened to send federal troops to Baltimore, as he's done in L.A. and in D.C., Chicago up next. The comments that Donald Trump made then got Wes Moore to respond, and Wes Moore told the president in social media, and I quote, "If you are not willing to walk our communities, keep our name out of your mouth." That's the governor to the president. If you're not willing to walk our communities, keep our name out of your mouth. And then Wes Moore went on CBS's Face the Nation and called Trump's decision to deploy National Guard troops in Washington, D.C. unconstitutional and deeply respectful to the local government and residents. And then Trump responded to Moore. He called Moore's comments rather nasty and provocative. Those are the president's words, rather nasty and provocative words coming from Wes Moore. He then labeled Baltimore out of control, crime-ridden Baltimore. That's what he called it, out of control, crime-ridden Baltimore. And he said, the president that is, said he would much prefer that he clean up his crime disaster before I go there for a walk. That's what he's saying to Wes Moore. Clean up your crime disaster before I go there for a walk. So Trump and Moore have been going back and forth of late. Again, Donald Trump picking on black leaders, but black leaders are pushing back. Here is Donald Trump. I can read these comments to you, but just listen to Donald Trump talking about Baltimore audibly.
Country. Baltimore is a horrible, horrible deathbed. It's a deathbed. I know Governor Moore said, oh, he wants to take a walk with me. He meant it in a derogatory tone. I said, no, I'm the president of the United States. Clean up your crime and I'll walk with you. But it's tremendous crime. But he was trying to be derogatory. He doesn't have what it takes. but he's trying to be derogatory. And I met him at the Army-Navy game. They said, "Oh, there's Governor Moore. He'd love to see you." He came over to me, he hugged me, shook my hand. You were there. He said, "Sir, you're the greatest president of my lifetime." I said, "Well, it's really nice that you say that. I'd love you to say it publicly, but I don't think you can do that, so it's okay. But no, sir, you're doing a fantastic job. I want to just shake your hand. Thank you very much, Governor." That was it. And then every time I see him on television, he's knocking the hell out of me. So, but that's all right. It's called politics.
Donald Trump has Baltimore and every other black city, or every other city with a black mayor these days. He has us in his crosshairs. Say a bit more, Dayvon Love, about the way that your city is right now in Donald Trump's crosshairs.
Yeah, one of the frustrating things about Trump's remarks and just some of the discourse back and forth has been that when you look at the Trump strategy, and the piece that you read from earlier, I think does a good job, that we have to talk in explicit terms about what is the strategy that Trump and Republicans are using. So when we think about the way that the collective American consciousness is conditioned, where notions of Black inferiority inherent in criminality are part and parcel of the strategy the Republicans have historically used to gain political ground. And one of the things that's key to the part that you read was about the fact that in the suburban areas is where the Democratic Party has tried to gain favor. The challenge that we're facing is that a Democratic Party that is capitulating to the right wing and its reticence in actually being explicit about the fact that what's core to the Republican strategy are these tropes of incompetence, inherent criminality.
Let me cut in right quick. Let me cut in. I want to just read this piece again for those who may have just tuned in, because Dayvon is referring to a piece I read moments ago. Let me read this quote again. It's a piece in the New Republic, and it's called "Trump's Next Hellhole, Chicago. Democrats get ready for a fight." The Windy City is set to be the next place the president intends to send an occupying army under the pretext of fighting crime. Again, you can find that piece in the New Republic. So he's got his eyes set on Chicago, but he's in this war of words with the governor of Maryland, Wes Moore, and Baltimore is on his list as well. And so this piece in the New Republic says the following. This is just one paragraph. "But it's worse than his fudging of numbers." His, of course, being Donald Trump. "But it's worse than his fudging of numbers, because at the heart of Trump's lies is his unswerving and poisonous racism. He's not really trying to solve crime in the District of Columbia or anywhere else. He's trying to scare white people, to divide the country, to make people in suburban, exurban, and rural America believe that the places where lots of non-white people live are war zones." So I ask you directly, given the quote that I just read from this article in the New Republic, Dayvon Love, whether or not Donald Trump, are they right? Is he trying to scare white people? Is he trying to divide the country? Is he trying to make folk who live in suburban, exurban, and rural America believe that these places where lots of black people, non-white people live, are in fact war zones? Is that his end and aim?
I would say absolutely. And I would take it a step further to say that it's a part of the Republicans and Trump's electoral strategy. That they are clear that these types of notions, these types of images, representations, narratives are actually politically appealing to those in those communities that unfortunately the Democratic Party has made more inroads in trying to curry favor with them, as opposed to traditionally those black voters, particularly in cities, but black voters in general, particularly working class black voters. It is clear that their rhetoric and their pushback to Donald Trump does not place this particular part of their strategy front and center. And the piece that you mentioned earlier that I wrote, that I put in the Afro, while Governor Moore and other folks in the Democratic Party have pushed back against Trump's call for federalizing law enforcement in these cities. And part of the conversation that has been foregrounded in their pushback has been the declines in non-fatal shootings and homicides, which I think is an important part of the discourse. But it's important to be clear that when Republicans and conservatives and moderate Democrats will take individual instances of violence, right, real instances of people being victimized, and use those instances to project there to be a crime problem. And what that does is that if black folks are deemed to be inherently criminal, then the kinds of violence that is done by law enforcement historically against black people is rendered invisible or acceptable. So one of the things that we're seeing in Washington, D.C. is we're seeing, Black folks, whether it's being brutalized. We saw one sister, Athenia Evans, who was brutalized in a metro stop for a minor metro offense.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see a variety of other instances of people being locked up for smoking weed in a place where marijuana is legal. Cannabis is legal in Washington, D.C. Like you're seeing a range of people, working class Black folks, whose rights are being violated, who are being abused. But that's not the primary aspect of the Democrat Party's pushing back against Trump's policies and rhetoric. And this then is part of the reason that, in my estimation, the Democratic Party has failed in this moment, because those are, in fact, the people that are most directly impacted and targeted by the historic ways in which law enforcement has interacted with our community, are the very voters that have been turned off from the electoral process and the political process. And not hearing that message and hearing that pushback and defending the humanity of working class Black people, not as a part of the central messaging of the Democratic Party, in many ways is giving Donald Trump, right, ceding political ground to Donald Trump, because without engaging those voters that traditionally been disengaged, then we're going to get the same result, right, which is more examples of Democrats not being able to pull the kinds of people that it needs to effectively push back from a political perspective. And that's why I make it a point of the piece to talk about the importance of parties to the left of the Democratic Party is an essential part of the conversation as to how do we stop Trump and the Republican Party in pursuing the kind of policy that he did in D.C.
I read a paragraph from the New Republic piece. Let me now read the opening paragraph in the piece that Dayvon Love has written for the Afro newspaper. It's entitled, "The Democratic Party is Not Enough Against White Nationalism." He just spent some time unpacking what the piece is about. Again, it's titled, "The Democratic Party is Not Enough Against White Nationalism." Here's the first paragraph. Trump utilizing national law enforcement in Washington, D.C. is another example of the underlying white nationalism that undergirds the political worldview of the MAGA movement. It is consistent with Richard Nixon's call for a war on drugs, which sought to criminalize Black people as a political strategy to catalyze white resentment. This resentment is rooted in a silent majority of white people who believe that the social movements of the 60s sought to give Black people too much power. One other paragraph, the next paragraph, in fact. Ta-Nehisi Coates, in an appearance on MSNBC's All In with Chris Hayes a couple of months ago, said it best. Coates said Trump realized that Willie Horton is the thing. Willie Horton is the thing. In this quote, Coates is referring to the idea that Republicans used to try to be subtle about their racist dog whistling, but Trump figured out that racism is resonant with the base of his party. The first two paragraphs of Dayvon Love's piece in the Afro newspaper titled, "The Democratic Party is Not Enough Against White Nationalism." So if the Democratic Party is not enough against white nationalism, Dayvon Love, wait for it, I ask you this. What do we do? I'm talking about we being Black folk. What do we do when the President of the United States is trying to make white people scared of us?
I think we have to organize ourselves on the basis of making demands to the Democratic Party that forces them to come into the direction of protecting the humanity of Black folks that historically have been harmed by law enforcement. And so part of what I mean by that, especially given the overreaches of the Trump administration and its use of national law enforcement, because law enforcement is the providence of state and local law. And state and local political figures have to use the power that they do have and force the Democratic Party to contemplate an idea. And this idea I'm about to say is something I actually haven't said publicly yet, but I think it's a good answer to your question, which is, in a world where national law enforcement is deployed in Chicago or in Baltimore or wherever, the political figures, whether it's, Governor Moore in Maryland, Brandon Scott, Mayor of Baltimore City, whether it's Brandon Johnson in Chicago, should use their powers to say that any national law enforcement and any national law enforcement that is deployed in their cities, that local law enforcement will detain any national law enforcement that is engaged in law enforcement activity that is expressly reserved to states and local municipalities. Now, for some people, that might seem like an extreme measure, but we have to be clear that we have to. This is political warfare, and so if the president's going to threaten to use his authority and overstep his authority by going into cities, then it is important for the masses of our people to push those that are the leaders, the political leaders, again, whether on the state or local level, to have that kind of a stance as a way to protect those who, again, historically have been harmed by law enforcement. And then one thing I'll add is we also have to be clear that the informal organs of the law enforcement establishment are right-wing forces. So we have to talk seriously about what will it mean to, for instance, decertify the Fraternal Order of Police as a unit, right? Because the Baltimore City FOP actually chimed in support of Donald Trump's policy, right? Even though the mayor of our city is clearly, and the governor has opposed it. So we have to start looking at what does it mean to decertify the Fraternal Order of Police? They're not a union, right? They're a public interest group on behalf of the right-wing forces of law enforcement, right? And in Maryland, we have the Maryland States Attorneys Association prosecutors who politically gain an advantage in the rhetoric and narratives that are rooted in racism and white supremacy that Trump and the Republicans deploy, right? And so we need to begin to look at and force our elected officials to say, okay, we have to confront these institutions who are supportive of this Trump policy. We have to confront them and force them to look at things like decertifying the Fraternal Order of Police or neutralizing the prosecutor entities that drive policy in these.
Well, we need to have some agenda, because it's abundantly clear to me, as I said earlier a couple of times, that Donald Trump is targeting African-American leaders, be that the governor of Maryland or the mayor of these cities. And he is trying to make white people scared of us. As Dayvon Love wrote in this piece, Trump has figured out that racism is resonant with the base of his party, and that's a real problem. Dayvon Love is the director of public policy for the think tank Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle, Baltimore City-based. Dayvon, thank you for your work and witness. Good to have you back on this program, sir.
Thanks for having me on.
More of Tavis, Smiley, when we come forward.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. 5 people were injured in a South LA strip mall shooting. 1 person is critical and 2 are serious. LA's Black Mayor Karen Bass says they will find who did this.
We will find the perpetrators of this crime and hold them accountable.
The suspects fled in getaway cars and are still at large. The University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill Board of Trustees met to ensure schools comply with anti-DEI policies before a September 1st deadline. The new equality policy cuts 20 DEI roles and realigns 27 others, saving over $5 million. And Prince Jackson is engaged to longtime girlfriend Molly Shermaine. He honored his late father, Michael Jackson, in the announcement and shared photos with family. Prince is also promoting his charity work and working on the upcoming biopic, Michael, set for April 2026. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
In Chino Hills on the 71 southbound, coming up on the 60, we've got that overturned big rig and trailer lying on its side. The 2 right lanes are blocked. It's stopped now from Mission Boulevard. Then on the 71 northbound after Rio Rancho Road, still got that 3-car crash on the shoulder. In Tustin, 5 southbound before you get to Tustin Ranch Road, got a stall cleared to the Center Divider area. And on the 405 northbound at Cherry, a wreck in the left lane.
Ignite your afternoons at Waba Grill's $5 happy hour with our 5-piece pork veggie dumplings and a value-sized premium beverage drink, like our tangy passion fruit lemonade. Enjoy $5 happy hour weekdays after 3 p.m. Only at Waba Grill.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Coco Gauff, the number 3 women's tennis player in the world, overcame 10 double faults Tuesday night to win her first-round match in the U.S. Open. The 21-year-old African-American star defeated Ayla Tomljanovic of Croatia in 3 sets, 6-4, 6-7, and 7-5. The LA Sparks lost at home last night to the Phoenix Mercury 92-84. The Sparks are now 17-19. They have 8 games left in the WNBA regular season to make the playoffs. The Sparks are a game and a half behind the Seattle Storm for the 8th and final playoff spot. The Dodgers beat Cincinnati 6-3, 5th straight win for Clayton Kershaw. The Dodgers remain a game up on San Diego in the NL West. Shedeur Sanders will be the number 3 quarterback on the Cleveland Browns roster. Deion's son made the team after the Browns and the other 31 NFL teams made cuts Tuesday to reach the 53-man roster limit. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
At the tone, please record your message.
You ready?
Drop it!
Mr. Tavis, Smiley, preach it. Thank you, man. Politics in this country is crazy. You put things in perspective that even I didn't. The right is playing fast and loose with facts and scapegoating everyone under the sun, especially black and brown people. As a white man, I do not agree with this, and I am on my black and brown brothers and sisters' side. Fight the good fight. Know that I am part of the resistance. Let's fight the power.
Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
Old pirates, yes, they rob I, sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom, 'cause all I ever have, redemption songs.
That's Bob Marley. I'm Tavis Smiley. Glad to have you with us in this final half hour of today's program. And we engage a conversation now with Bitter Kalli. Bitter Kalli is an esteemed essayist and art critic who has written a book called Mounted on Horses, Blackness, and Liberation. It is a compelling and thought-provoking collection of essays that probes the shared history of blackness and horses. As a former urban equestrian and the child of Jamaican and Filipino immigrants, Kalli examines the horse as a profound symbol of power and identity in black life. Bitter Kalli, good to have you on this program. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Tavis?
If I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I am doing well and thankful for this conversation with you. This audience knows I do this all the time. I am always fascinated by the backstory of anything and everything I'm talking about. It's the backstory that always fascinates me, and I am particularly fascinated by the backstory of this particular book and the connections that you make in the book, as I said earlier, examining the horse as a profound symbol of power and identity in black life. But just give me the backstory to this book. The whole frame of it, the theme of it fascinates me. I never thought about the relationship between horses and black folk. So just give me the backstory here.
Yeah, so I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I loved horses from a very young age. And I started writing at a local urban stable called Kensington Stable. And it was a pretty racially diverse, very small urban stable. Like the kids would cross the street, cross the traffic, ride in Prospect Park. It was definitely like a very city environment. And as I got older, I began writing in the suburbs in Long Island. And when I entered Columbia University, I also rode for the equestrian team there. And I entered college in 2014 when people were protesting nationwide the police killing of Michael Brown. And so at the same time as I was on the equestrian team, getting to know my teammates, starting this new phase of my life as an equestrian, I was also out in the streets protesting the killing of an innocent black man. And I remember turning on the TV in my dorm room and seeing images of mounted police officers on horses, facing down black protesters. And for the first time in my life, I really started to question the connections between horses and policing, horses and state violence, and to realize that these animals that had been such a source of joy and power for me were also enlisted in a project of white supremacy. And so that was really the seed of this book, thinking about those contradictions, the ways that horses, there's such a long history of black cowboys, of urban cowboys, of black people tending to and riding horses in so many different contexts. But at the same time, horses have also been used as a tool of oppression, whether that was on the plantation or in current day policing. Or the ways that horses and militarism have also been tied together throughout history.
See, that's why I love this show. I say all the time, Bitter, I leave this studio every day smarter than when I came in. And when I walk out of here in about 20 minutes, I'm going to be a lot smarter than I was when I came in almost 3 hours ago, because I had never, ever considered this connection. Take me back to that moment when you're watching this, and I mean, obviously you're an equestrian, but in that moment you see horses differently. You see, as you said, the relationship. It all comes into frame for you. Just take me back to that moment and tell me more about how you interpreted, how you processed that frame when it hit you in that moment.
Yeah, so I remember just looking at that wall of mounted police officers side by side with their shields facing down black protesters. And that was really the first time that I had seen horses in such a dehumanizing light. Like I could see the ways that they also were not being treated as living beings worthy of respect. They were being used as tools to further the oppression of Black people. And so I just remember looking at that and seeing horses in such a different way. I was so used to seeing my peers ride at the farm. I had grown up with all kinds of people riding horses in Brooklyn. And this was really a moment that changed the way that I approached horses and the questions that I wanted to ask about the history of horses.
There are a number of themes. I want to make the most of the time that I do have with you, and it's not a lot of time, but I want to make the most of it. And I think the best way I can do that, Bitter Kalli, is to cover some of the themes that you delve into inside these essays that make up the book Mounted on Horses, Blackness, and Liberation by Bitter Kalli, who's our guest right now. So let me just throw these themes at you, and you can unpack it as you will. And there are 5 of them, I think, that I've kind of highlighted that will give us a better understanding, give the audience a better understanding of what's actually inside the book before they get it and read it. Once again, it's called Mounted on Horses, Blackness, and Liberation, as we've already established. She's examining the horse as a profound symbol of power and identity in Black life and the ways in which horses have been used to disregard, disrespect, disenfranchise, demonize, hurt, maim, murder Black people. Again, it's a connection I never thought of, and I love the frame that the Bitter Kalli has put us in. So here's some of the themes. We've started on this theme already, but just say quickly a bit more about the theme of race and how you get at it in the book.
Yeah, so the book is really rooted in the experience of Black people throughout the African diaspora. And as you mentioned, of course, horses have been enlisted into this project of white supremacy and colonialism. But there's also a long, resilient history of Black people who have found freedom and who have built community around the care of horses. So the book also looks at histories of Black cowboys, histories of Black fashion and music, and the ways that they've been influenced by equestrian sports, the ways that horses show up in pop culture, and so on. And so it's really looking at the very creative and resistive ways that Black people have engaged with horses, alongside and despite the ways that horses have also been used as tools of oppression.
When she mentions culture, she's reading my mind. That's exactly where I want to go when we come forward. Race is a theme in this book. Nationhood is a theme in this book. Colonial history is a theme in this book, and culture is a theme in this book. Let's unpack the notion of culture when we come forward with the author of the book Mounted on Horses, Blackness, and Liberation. The author is our guest right now on Tavis Smiley, Bitter Kalli.
BET and PBS, The Tom Joyner Morning Show, and NPR, the cover of Jet and the cover of Time. #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list, 20 honorary doctorate degrees, a dozen NAACP Image Awards, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. From talk shows to talk radio, nobody's ever done it better. You like that? This is Tavis Smiley.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individual individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least liked to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley and Bitter Kalli, who is the author of the new book, Mounted on Horses, Blackness and Liberation, giving us a whole new frame to consider the relationship historically between black folk and horses. We've gotten along well in times. You think of the black cowboys, et cetera, et cetera. But these horses have also been used against us. The fascinating part is the horse ain't got no say, right? The horse has no say in the matter, and that's a whole nother thing. What's that old adage that I'm gonna screw it up, but I love that adage about the lion. And the view of history, right? Until the lion gets to speak, you don't get the other side of the story, right? And so until the horse gets to speak, you don't get the other side of the story. The horse is like, I didn't want to be involved in that. I didn't want to be used against these black people. And when Bitter was talking earlier about that wall of police on horseback, my mind went to, and you probably know where I'm going, Bitter, my mind went to all the footage we saw a couple of years ago in the Biden administration of those Border Patrol agents on horseback whipping back those Haitians.
Yeah, exactly.
How did that image strike you?
Yeah, I actually bring up that image in the book, thinking about, there's an essay about protest and the ways that during the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020, there were so many black cowboys who came out on their horses to join those rallies. And I was thinking about the juxtaposition of that image of the black protester on horseback with these mounted border patrol agents, mounted cops. And once again, throughout history, you see this contrast between horses being used as a tool for collective memory and liberation, and horses also being used as tools of state violence.
Yeah. Talk to me then about the way the theme of culture is covered in the text.
Yeah, so one of my favorite essays is actually about Jamaican dancehall music and the ways that Jamaican artists took on these names and personas of cowboys from American movies in their own music. So there were like artists who were taking on the names of Clint Eastwood and Buffalo Bill and using the image of the American cowboy to talk about poverty and violence and inequality in their own country. So in thinking about culture, I was also really interested in looking outside of the US and thinking about the ways that Black people throughout the diaspora have kind of repurposed this myth of the American cowboy, and also kind of like playfully recreated our ideas of what cowboys can be, our ideas of what equestrians are. In another essay, I talk about Polo Ralph Lauren and the ways that polo has become such a big brand in hip hop culture. And so I think it's just really interesting the ways that, of course, horses and polo and being an equestrian is something that is traditionally associated with white upper middle class people, but Black people have also always kind of engaged creatively with those archetypes and used them to build culture and cultural practices.
The remaining moments of Smiley and Bitter. Think about that. I'm Smiley, she's bitter. The remaining moments of Smiley and Bitter when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Hi, I'm LA City Councilmember Curran Price, inviting you to the 30th anniversary of the Central Avenue Jazz Festival, Saturday, September the 20th, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. We've got 4 pavilions, 3 stages of live music, plus food, fun, and a marketplace all along historic Central Avenue between MLK Boulevard and Vernon Ave. Our featured acts this year are Gregory Porter, Pancho Sanchez, and Jasmine Horn at the 30th anniversary of the Central Avenue Jazz Festival, Saturday, September 20th, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. along Central Avenue between MLK Boulevard and Vernon Avenue. Come out and bring the whole family because this legendary celebration is free. For more information, go to centralavjazzfest.com. I'm LA Councilmember Curran Price, and I absolutely approve this message.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
So I was tickled by that. I'm Smiley, she's bitter. Let me be clear. I'm not always Smiley. Are you always bitter?
No, definitely not.
That first name fascinates me. I get asked about Smiley all the time, so I'm asking you about bitter. Where'd that first name come from?
Yeah, bitter is actually a name that I chose. I'm also a farmer and a land worker, and I've studied herbalism, and I really connected with bitter herbs
Yeah.
throughout my herbalism studies, and have done some research on the ways that bitter herbs like dandelion can be really supportive for people dealing with chronic stress, and specifically for Black people and people of color, to help us kind of like process the stress of like systemic oppression that we live with every day. So yeah, for a lot of reasons, bitter plants are important for me. I think there's also like more playful meanings of the words bitter.
Yeah.
I think it's important to often like people who are called bitter are people who have a long memory and who are also committed to justice and who don't want us to proceed without acknowledging what has happened in the past. And so I think there are a lot of really significant meanings of the word bitter for me.
No, I love it. I got a tight 30 seconds here. What is the takeaway that you hope readers will tap into when they read this book, Mounted on Horses, Blackness, and Liberation?
I hope readers will take away the idea that Black people have always ridden and taken care of horses, and that our relationships with animals, with other living beings, is really central to our own practices of liberation.
The book, once again, is called Mounted on Horses, Blackness and Liberation. Its author has been our guest in this half hour, Bitter Kalli. Congrats on the book. Thank you for getting me to think about something I had never considered, this relationship between horses and Black people, historically and in real time. An amazing piece of work. Honored to have had you on this program. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
Tomorrow, I'm sure we're going to lead with this. We, again, know at this hour that in that shooting in Minneapolis at the school, Annunciation Catholic School, 3 dead, 2 students, including the gunman, is one of the 3, 17 injured. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have offered their prayers, and the mayor of Minneapolis is already going in, saying these kids were literally praying. They were, in fact, praying when they were killed. We don't need your prayers, Mr. President. We need a great deal more of this country. We don't need, save your prayers. The kids were, in fact, praying. So here's the frame that we're going to start with tomorrow. Y'all ready for this? Donald Trump going after cities with Black mayors, states with Black governors, Westmore. We discussed that in today's program. The shooter, we now know, who's dead in this case, as I said a moment ago, was a white male. Just like the guy a few months ago was a white male that politically assassinated those state leaders in Minneapolis. Y'all remember that? He was a white male today. White males are out of control in Minneapolis, killing babies and political elected officials. They got a white mayor in y'all don't want none of this. Y'all ain't ready for this. They got a white mayor in Minneapolis. Is Donald Trump going to send the National Guard to control out of control crime, get a handle on out of control crime in Minneapolis? Mr. President, are you sending the National Guard, you sending the military to Minneapolis? Since you're so concerned about crime, we're going to start with that tomorrow on Tavis Smiley. Until then, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIED News Now. Universities nationwide are facing shooting hoaxes. Schools like Arkansas and Iowa State saw false active shooter alerts this week. University of Arkansas professor Michael Cummings was left shaken.
I just started texting